So for POS 160 virtual debate, I'm going to be talking about why I believe the U.S. should stay in the Middle East, and I believe we should stay in the Middle East because the U.S. provides a sense of stability in the region that would otherwise be very unstable. So I believe the region would be unstable because of identity issues, and it still kind of is. But these many of these states, the nations inside of them, they don't necessarily agree with the people in power. So it could be a Shia minority leading a Sunni majority, and vice versa, as well as the hostile relationships between just the Middle Eastern states in general. So this would be like Israel and all of its neighbors, or Saudi Arabia and Iran, Iraq and Iran, etc. So just to highlight some of these identity issues. Iraq was 2003 when the U.S. invaded. It was Sunni Ba'athist regime led by Saddam Hussein. U.S. overthrew Saddam Hussein, installed a Shia dictator, which is great. Represented majority of Iraqis. However, quick that regime quickly began persecuting and massacring the Sunni minority, which led to a radical Sunni movement and the creation of ISIS in Iraq, which is directly related to the U.S. withdrawing its troops, as well as another one in Syria. 70% of the country is Sunni, while it's represented by 20% who are Shia. And when Arab Spring started in 2011, when the demonstrations finally reached Syria, Bashar al-Assad, instead of working with his people, he just met them with force, kind of like what happened in Libya. And so now we're going to jump into the two major powers in the Middle East, which is Saudi Arabia and Iran. Saudi Arabia is a U.S.-backed Sunni monarchy, and Iran is a Russian-backed Shia regime. Both of these two countries, they both hate each other. They don't work together at all. No cooperation whatsoever, and they don't directly take any action against each other. They do it through proxy wars in places like Syria and Iraq and Lebanon. So like an example of this is Iran directly supports and deploys troops to Bashar al-Assad's Shia regime in Syria, while Saudi Arabia directly supports the rebel groups, the Sunni rebel groups that are fighting against Bashar al-Assad's, that'd be like the Kurds. And because the Saudi Arabia is backed by the United States also economically isolates Iran, and Saudi Arabia relies heavily on this isolation of Iran because Iran's military is over twice the size of Saudi Arabia's, and so I feel that if the U.S. were to withdraw its support of just Saudi Arabia alone, that and withdraw and take away that economic isolation, that Saudi Arabia would be directly threatened by Iran, and this could lead to Saudi Arabia attacking first as like a defensive measure, or Iran seizing an opportunity. In short, if the U.S. were just to just completely withdraw all of its support in the Middle East, so it'd be in places like Israel, Iraq, again Saudi Arabia, I believe that this would only just escalate the situation, make it even worse. So I believe it would lead to either the same thing, Israel, just same thing happened in the 6 Day War. Israel just attacks all of its neighbors, or in the Yom Kippur War, the exact opposite, or Iran aggressively moving towards Saudi Arabia, like I mentioned before, as well as I do believe that, like what happened when the U.S. withdrew its troops from Iraq, even when the majority was in power, that they just started persecuting the minority and which led to a new terror group, ISIS, being formed. So I believe that the U.S. should stay in the Middle East because, in a sense, the U.S. does provide some regional security, at least the best we can think of at this moment. And other than that, it'll just be the U.S. would withdraw its troops and then have to start running military exercises again to take care of whatever else stems from that.